Can we just hire any?
Relax.
Well, relax.
It's just there's so much to do in a single day.
I think I watch this movie at least once a week.
Wow. But then again, aren't we all?
I'm sure Hedwig has defined my archetype for a rock and roller, and I'm literally sitting, right? I mean, is this not just, am I not living these archetypes? Have I not showed you on every day, the ones who know me, have I not lived all of these archetypes? There's this band called the Malcognitas, if any of you, when I was goth. Where's that guy smiling at? Oh, okay, here we go. And so, to set the tone of the work. So the next set is the work, right? So I started. Sorry, go back. So I go back. So I started. So you can go to the flyers. So I used to work at Campus Center Ballroom at UH, and they had a risograph, and so on your left was the first event that I did by myself. I happened to be friends with a group of designers that immersed me in club culture and mixing hip-hop, live music, bands, with all genres. I was lucky enough to be immersed in this Honolulu DIY culture, and I started watching shows and going to clubs. Obviously, angst. I've been living on my own since I was 17, and working at Pearl Ridge at Starbucks was like this experience that kind of defined who I am. And taking the bus to town and hanging out at the other Starbucks over there. So closing out Pearl Ridge, taking the bus, and closing out Ward, and then partying and doing that every day. And watching shows, listening to music, and dancing was such a big part of my identity. And throwing parties and throwing live shows was a big thing. And I realized that I could work with people and incept the idea of bringing bands down to Hawaii, because bands didn't come down to Hawaii during that time. There was no Republic or BAMP back then, so I've actually sold my car to bring down of Montreal first time. So on your right is a flyer for 39 Hotel, and I believe that was the first all ages that they've ever had at 39. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but I used to throw events at Next Door, at 39 Hotel, at every bar in Waikiki, and after, either I was working at Starbucks, working at a consignment store, I've worked every service job known to man. I worked at DoubleTree Hotel. I've worked door for. I was a door girl. I was a runner, an assistant, anything that anybody needed. I went out there and I asked questions and I hustled. And Georgia, is that you giggling? Oh, hello. Georgia and Tracy, hello. Thank you for coming. HBCB. Go ahead. And so, and then at the WOFAT building on Mauna Kea and Hotel, my friends opened up place called Loft, and we didn't have a liquor license for the first 9 months, and so I got to do anything that I wanted. So I did this art collective. This was the Hack. This is the Honolulu Art Collective. So this was 2006, 7. I don't remember. And I made I had Daniel Gray make these pop-up easels for me so that they could be easily taken down at the end of the night. I still do this format. I still dream of doing this format. This is the format that I'm thinking we should do. Okay, go. So here I am. This is typical me on a first Friday, on the phone, making sure that the talent and the artists are coming exactly when they said they are, and sweeping the floor at Loft, cleaning the toilets, running back at the bar and making sure that the deliveries were all set and that we had enough PBR for all y'all hipsters. Okay, so I was working this life and freelancing. I'm gonna assume I've already graduated from UH, from the art department, with a design degree. My dead mother was here the last CreativeMornings. Another person that has defined who I am. And then I met this woman. This lady, Mari Matsuda, changed my whole perspective on life. Mari Matsuda was the first female tenured law professor in America, an activist, a utopianist, a pacifist, a leader, and the woman that has helped me figure out what else I could do with the ability to gather people together. And so she incepted this idea that I could be an activist, that I could gather people for a cause, for a reason, doing the same format through the arts, through music, through inviting different tropes of people from printmakers to lawmakers to admins to musicians, and gather them for a cause. So I think in 2008, I did a Obama bike rally, and rallied I think about 200 people, and we biked from UH to Kaka'ako waterfront, and we had a makeshift live band. I remember 86 List played. I don't remember the rest of the bands, and the cops came and basically let us stay. I helped curate this, if not now, when art and music festival at the Bishop Museum. That was an amazing experience for me. Thanks to also my friend Sunny Ganadan for basically introducing me to this world. Also curating a We Value Hawaii event at Fresh Cafe when it was on Queen Street, and having people do printmaking and sharing this idea of DIY, and we invited a whole panel of lawmakers. I think John Osorio was there, Mari Matsuda was there, Kim Koko was there, and there were all these people that I had championed, my kapuna that I championed, and we had panels, we had art activations, we had I think somebody was doing some kind of I can't even remember all the things. But I just know it was this experience that reminded you that you could believe in this better world here in Hawaii. What's the next bit here? So there was a Girl Fest event that led me to this idea that I could teach design through zine making, and which basically incepted this idea of me wanting to teach more. So these zine workshops were my gateway to being an educator. And so I think the next slide, sorry, I got lost in my train of thought here. You can press in the middle, and here's a sample of a zine. And now we're gonna kind of just go through like some of my work. So zine workshops were something that I really loved doing, and I wish I had time to do more. But okay, so here, my day job. Goodness, so many things, right? So many hats to put on and take off on a daily basis. So actually, I'm the creative director for Nella Media Group, NMG Network. I've been with founder and publisher Jason Cuttinella from basically day one, so it's been a decade's worth of work that I am so proud to be a part of. A lot of my creative team and some of my sales team are here. NMG, you guys want to raise your hands just to show? Oh, you're all on the same side. Thank you. I love working with you guys. Can you imagine an office that allows me to look like this? At our helm, we have about 15 titles. 15. Our passion is print. We make beautiful publications, and our future is TV. I think the next slide is some of my favorite layouts, editorials, and then the next one, you can press in the middle, and you can see so this was when I first redesigned Flux. You can skip through it. I think they get it. Okay, so.
Of going on trains, I'm looking out the window, and it was like.
This is our energy. Sorry, go back. And I just wanted to play this.
When I was
think
young,
it might be
I
an
loved
old
going
Susan.
on
Sorry, guys.
trains. I'm looking out the window, and it was like this rectangle.
This is
of the
energy
world as
network.
it passed by.
And we traveling all over the world and the country. Like Hawaii is so unique.
It's like a New York runway show, but connected to Hawaiian culture.
I've been to prides all over the world. Like, it makes me feel alive.
Because we decided that we're going to do it like a bunch of 6-year-olds. Any idea that anyone had, however crazy, we would film it.
You are putting on a persona. You are able to act through that.
I think jazz reflects each country, the conditions, and each society at that particular time.
If you have a strong mind, you're able to push yourself through the tough times.
You know, we have to be part of that answer. Because again, I mean, we're all in this together, right?
You know, I was like, Mom, what do you think? Is it okay? Does it have the feeling? Do you feel the spirituality of it? She's like, yes.
I'm into that. That's a look. That's tight.
I hope that I can reach people and make them see things in a little different way.
Because I want to prove to myself that I can be at the top.
You know, I started in 1979. Still excite me to this day because there's something to say. There's a lot of things to say yet.
Please visit energynetwork.com to see more of our channels. So you can press the middle again. So here is a little window of what my class looks like at UH. This is me trying to give some courage to the students because it might have been their first critique. It's like, it's okay, you guys. It's okay to say that you don't like a design. It doesn't mean that you don't like them as a person. Is that okay? Let's remove ourselves from our conceptual design. Is that okay? It's okay. So everybody's very sensitive. Okay, and so our next slide. Some of my favorite nonprofit work. Oh my goodness, I get to work with beautiful people like Nicole Naone and like Anthony Thornbjornson Bjorg. Oh my goodness. This was a concept for HIF 35, and the whole idea was these bits of moments that are captured are all those little tiny bits of text kind of show like more details of like what it took to make this scene, from the storyboarding to the different camera people to the lighting to the wardrobe to the makeup, that there's different elements that create this one scene, that it took a whole team to create this moment. And then the next is my next favorite nonprofit work was for the Honolulu Biennial. This is for the first year, and I was lucky enough to design the whole branding of it, including the art book, the art catalog in the end. Yeah, I certainly loved working on this. I forget the theme. Can you read what the theme was? It's okay. So Hawaii is the theme. Which will lead me to the next set of slides, art thinking. Oh my goodness. So all of this, being a designer, being a musician, being an educator, being an activist, being a human, led me to, I guess, naturally come to this mode of art thinking. And I'm just gonna go through some slides of some of these pieces, and a lot of this body of work, my whole thing is to hopefully make art that doesn't sell or is impossible to sell. Okay, let's go to the next one. So I was pregnant at one point, and I did the whole thing of like going to Queens, and I had a doctor, and I had a terrible experience, and that freaked me out, and that led me to become a naturopath. So I'm what you call an A-type naturopath, and doctors freaked me out, and I was like, here was a doctor that had authority. Not that I'm not trying to poo-poo on medicine, by the way. I'm frowning on the experience of the authority of what that white lab coat, the power that the white lab coat could have over any human. That this white lab coat could change your perception of power and authority. And so I created this installation called The Doctor Is In, and I created a fake doctor's office at the old Hound and Quail basement. And I invited 1, 2, 3, 4 doctors, and people. And on the left, you see me as a pharmacist concocting some kind of potions. You can go to the next slide. And on the left is a form for Dr. Psycho, and some of the ailments that you could get help is a clumsiness. If you needed, if you were feeling broke, that I could like prescribe you something. If you wanted help with luck, I think some of the things that were a favorite, were a hit was my love potion. And I remember making my love potion at home, and I remember my dog just kind of just like looking at me like very lovingly, and I was like, yes, I know it's working. Yes, I know. So you go back just a little bit, and so and see my doctors waiting for a prescription, and then on your right, keep going. Here's a sample. You can click in the middle. Here's a video. Very
She was like immediately asked you like studying on the
I love this installation.
It's my job.
You see the waiting room? The waiting room? Okay, yeah, being pregnant was an experience for me, and I gave birth, and going to the next slide, and realized I had these huge boobs, and for the first time in my life, and I was quite empowered by the milk that was in my breasts, and I was invited to do an all-girl. I hate those all women art shows, all women like music events, and so this is my piece called God.
I asked Vaughn, the neon guy, to like I outlined a picture of my boobs, and I was like, all right, make a neon out of this. He was like, okay. Okay, so here's another one. Here's another group show. This is what I think about art. You can go and press the middle. So it's about, I think you're supposed to make shoes, or like, and I was imagining I was having like nightmares of like these bedazzled shoes that people would enter in this art show, and I was like, oh, what if we just make a candle and burn it down? So Peggy Hopper was not too happy with me for a little bit. And I think my melted shoes are still in the gallery, and they're still trying to ask me to pick it up. I love that one. Okay, and then just going through some of my art making. I was invited. My big sister Trisha Goldberg invited me to create the branding for an art show called Tropical Disturbance in San Francisco, and I was just trying to think of something to complement the branding, the flyers, the signage, and so like I asked one of my designers, Mitchell, to create like this video game simulation. So if you go to the next slide and press the middle, this piece was called Tropical Zero Disturbance 1, and so I was like, okay, this is what you're gonna do. Like I was creative directing. I was like, this is what I want you to do. I want you to take all of the letters and make it like it's this, what do you call this game? Pog? Yes. So, oh, shoot, one. So it's gonna go through this game, Aloha. I think some of the words that I had was militarization, tourism, and it kind of just went through the whole thing. Oh goodness, okay. Okay, we can go to the next one. Okay, and then, my friends always strong-arm me into doing weird things, and so for 1 year for Contact, a local art event, my friend Casey, who used to run the music events and the arts and culture events at Surf Jack, she really strong-armed me to like activate one of their suites. And she was like, oh, you gotta do this. And I was just like, I don't wanna do it. I have like 2 weeks. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do in 2 weeks? So in 2 weeks, she was like, for like a whole week, she's like pressuring me to like do this art installation at Surf Jack. And I was just like, I did some research. And I remember I was just like Googling plantation culture and somehow found these documents of all the Filipinos that came to Hawaii to work in the plantation, and somehow found a documentation that said Ara Laylo in 1912 was working in a plantation in Waipahu, and that for me was like, oh my God, the hotels are the plantations. They're the new plantations. And I was kind of trying to think of an art piece that would honor Filipino workers who predominantly basically work in the service field, especially in hospitality. And I kind of want to do this homage to them. And Casey had given me a budget of 500. And so what I had asked, so she was forcing me to do this, and I was like, okay, I'll do it. Fine, I'll do it. Here are my demands. I want to work a shift as a hospitality shift. I have the whole outfit already. It's in my closet, and it's an archetype. I want to work, and I want to learn how to. I want to work with them. I want them to show me how to like make the beds, vacuum, clean. It was the most strenuous 4 hours that I've ever worked, because that's only how long I lasted. Making the beds is a process that is backbreaking, and they make about 15 beds a day. There's a triple sheeting, there's a method, there's a madness to this, and that's why it's so perfect. Every time you check in, you take it for granted, right? this industry, this tourism industry that we live in. So again, this homage to the Filipino workers. And so I took the $500, and what I did instead, on the next slide, is pay these workers $100 each to sing karaoke in the very suite that they actually can't stay in. So I had this whole karaoke thing going on, and I brought them food. So there was like 2 nights. So they were basically, I'm paying them to party in their workplace, which is, no. And look at them have a good time. And so in this installation, what I did was project me making a bed over the bed. Right? So it's quite simple. So this begins this obsession that I have with video and video installation. So I think the next scene you press in the middle, my coworker Gerard Elmore was kind enough to come with me while I was working a shift. Here I am. Watch this. Oh God, this thing is heavy. That's me pushing this fucking heavy ass thing. You know, only one person is pushing that cart. There's no 2 people. They do a whole floor by themselves. And so it's back-breaking work, you guys. Maybe try to fast forward through the video so you can see me try to do the triple sheeting. Keep going. Me cleaning. Good grief. I'm hating this. And I'm like, why did I do this? So this video is projected over the suite. Good grief. This is that triple sheeting process. You can scrub right through this. Blah, blah, blah. Look at me trying to be an artist. Okay, so it was an amazing experience. I was very grateful, and you know, some of the things that I tried to tell the ladies were like, please don't forget me when I come to Surfjack. Please don't like hesitate to stop me and say hello. Don't forget me. Okay, so video work. So the last piece I think that I'm going to show is the piece that I did for the biennial, this past Honolulu Biennial. You can go ahead. This installation was very much inspired by social media, and it's a collection of video that I shot that my coworkers helped me shoot, predominantly a lot of videos from my Instagram stories and from video that I've shot on a GoPro that Josh from Hawaii Camera was gracious enough to lend me. I think there's more video. Next one. Press the middle, yeah. Jalousies for me was an important way of I guess it really does define Hawaii living, these amazing jalousies. Okay, there's the next one, and I think there's more. That's a close-up of the video, and I really liked how the video looked through the glass and kind of muddled it a little bit. So I go back to that reading that Hunter over there shared with me. I think it's truly important to surround yourself with your own muses, to not only exist as a muse, to surround yourself with the people that inspire you, whether it be your florist or your Uber driver, like having a conversation with them. I think it's quite important to be surrounded by mentors and friends that allow you to think beyond your own silo of thoughts. And you can go ahead and just read that. I'm not going to read it for you, but this is a passage from that same reading. That memory is the mother of muses. And then I think the last thing that I'm going to end with is this video.
I am an eye, a mechanical eye. I, the machine, show your world the way only I can see it. I free myself for today and forever from human immobility. I'm in constant movement. I approach and pull away from objects. I creep under them. I move alongside a running horse's mouth. I fall and rise with the falling and rising bodies. This is I, the machine, maneuvering in the chaotic movements, recording one movement after another in the most complex combinations. Freed from the boundaries of time and space, I coordinate any and all points of the universe wherever I want them to be. My way leads towards the creation of a fresh perception of the world. Thus I explain, in a new way, the world unknown to you.
So that's a quote by Zygmunt Vertov. You can watch this whole thing in Ways of Seeing by John Berger. You can watch that video or read that book. And that concludes my creative morning.
You mentioned really briefly that at Nella Media Group, you guys are really excited about delving into television. So maybe you could kind of talk a little bit about, as a publishing company, that, you know, bread and butter was probably more printed word, where you see the video kind of integrating with your art practice more now.
It's really interesting because it goes hand in hand, this future of video. Print can only have, in my opinion, a limited amount of reach, whereas TV and video has an infinite amount of reach and can convey a better perception of storytelling that is beyond what you could read and see. And so I think with social media and the transition from theaters to viewing things online on your laptop, on your cell phone, that it was very an organic transition. But I do think that we're always going to be a company that loves print, and that's mostly because, you know, me and Jason love magazines, but our storytelling, I think we're hungry. We're extremely hungry to reach the planet and to tell the stories, especially to be based in Hawaii, to have such a unique perspective from this island, and to share that with the whole planet is a vision that Jason and I share. Is that a good answer? That's good. Okay. Next one. Next one, guys. Next one.
Okay, next question.
Hi.
What am I wearing? Isabella. Go ahead, sorry. Go ahead, Michelle.
Can you describe your design process when you have a project?
My design process. As it is written on my syllabi, research first. Lots of research, lots of lists of words. So oftentimes, I will delve into a client as if trying to define a movie, like what is their character, who are they, how old are they male, female, where do they live, what are they wearing, what kind of house, what kind of car. Lots of like building and researching the identity and storyboarding. Sorry, I can see it in my head. So lots of words first, followed by lots of drawings, and a lot of this is done in my head. My designers are like, "Where's your drawings?" And I was like, "It's in my head." Okay. Creating drafts. Is that good enough? Like that's. I think for me, like once I figure out what kind of movie you're in, I think that's. Are you? What is the protagonist like? What are they eating? What does their breakfast look like? Those are the kind of things. I think my favorite process that I had was with Holly Kaleni, mostly because I got to stay in a suite and kind of just like, you know, like for research purposes, eat and dine at, you know, at La Mer, and just kind of like for research purposes, kind of just sit there and make sure that that foie gras was as good as they say it was, and just kind of just sit there in the pool and kind of just like understand the types, the demos, you know, just understanding the demographic of the place. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
So you started the discussion with talking about angst.
Yes.
But it feels from your presentation, your activism, your teaching, that there's actually a lot of optimism inherent in that.
Well,
so
now, now there is, right?
Right.
At the time, what had happened was I was quite angry. One can reflect. I'm sorry, please finish your question.
No, I think you got the gist of the question. Just like how you mediate between those spaces.
I think over time, I think over time you are, I don't know if you saw, but the angst had like a timeline. I'm still in it, technically. It's just, I don't think it ever goes away. I think it's more of the ability to take that angst and channel it. You have to channel it through something. If you're not channeling it through anything, it's gonna turn into depression. It's going to turn into anxiety. And so if you don't channel it into a creative outlet, like something that you could, as God, as you all are, that you must expunge it out of your mind, your body, and create. And if you don't birth that, that's gonna turn into something else, That's why the art, that's why the music making, that's why the workshops, because I'm trying to understand what that deep anger is trying to tell me, right? Like that what is it defining in you? Do you feel that angst? I feel like, I'll be honest with you, I do feel like this new generation bottles the angst, and it's going to pop at some point, and I'm very much looking forward to when it does explode, when American males finally explode like a volcano. I am so excited. I'll be standing right by you with a big smile going, very good. Now let's work. I think
that's it. Thanks everyone for coming.